Welcome to week 3, chapter 6 and chapter 10. Just a quick little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to post chapter 6 and 10 today, and then I'm going to record week 4, chapter 11, and that way you guys can review that one. You do have a quiz in week 4, so that will be on Monday, April 6th. And I will open that quiz at 10 a.m. and I will close it at 8 p.m. So that gives you from 10 in the morning till 8 p.m. April 6th to get that quiz completed. Quiz number 2 is going to be over chapters 5, 6, 10, and 19. Now, from what I understand, some were not able to view. The video was not available for chapters 5 and 19. But if you go onto the IoT Salem PN YouTube channel, you should be able to find that one. I will re-record that one and post it again. And that way you guys have all the information. Please remember to use your study guides. Make sure you read the materials, because most of these questions on this quiz you have seen before from your homework that you guys have printed out. You guys can, it is going to be an open book quiz, so utilize your resources. And like I say, quiz number 2 is going to be open at 10 a.m. on Monday, April 6th, and I will close it at 8 p.m. So if you have any questions, send me an email. You know, don't wait till the last minute to look at everything. So I'm going to start with chapter 6. I do have up a PowerPoint. As you guys know, I don't lecture from PowerPoints in this class, but I'm going to use this just to see if it'll kind of help out a little bit more. So chapter 6, is there a nursing shortage? You know, it started in the late 1990s, but this nursing shortage has lasted a lot longer, and it's more severe than previous nursing shortages. And the causes, it can be numerous, but a lot of nursing shortage, it began when hospitals in particular began downsizing to achieve cost containment. And the downsizing and short-sightedness regarding recruitment and retention contributed to the beginning of an acute shortage of RNs. And this is all, chapter 6 starts on page 83. So, you know, the demand for nurses, think about it. The demand for professional nurses in both the short-term and long-term future continues to increase, because employment of RNs is expected to grow much faster than average for all occupations through 2024. Causes of increased demand include a growing population, medical advances that increase the need for adequately educated nurses, and the increased acuity of hospitalized patients. Other factors that drive the demand are the technological advances in patient care and an increasing emphasis on healthcare prevention. Also, a growing elderly population with extended longevity and more chronic health conditions requires more nursing care. Then on page 84, you know, another thing, the supply of nurses. Remember, what you have to remember is there's a large number of nurses who are expected to retire. So, you know, we need to replace those nurses out in, you know, different organizations and facilities. But it doesn't seem like it appears to be large enough. The population, RN population now, is not large enough to meet either the short or long-term needs. And, you know, like I said, the nursing workforce will be retiring at a rate faster than it can be replaced. And part of that is because the average age of the working nurse has been increasing for some time. So, you know, they on page 85, they talk about trying to create incentives for a part-time and clinical adjunct faculty to return to school for advanced degrees and providing built-in periodic raises and the use of full-time clinical coordinator to support these faculties. Because a lot of times what it is they may have room in certain nursing schools for students, but they don't have the faculty to teach them. Whoops, wrong way. True. It's lasted longer and been more severe than any other nursing shortage that we have experienced so far. So, you know, part of it is our supply hasn't grown, you know, to replace the number of nurses that are, you know, expected to retire. And part of that is a lot of hospitals, especially if they're magnet hospitals, only hire baccalaureate degree graduates. So, you know, graduates who have an associate degree have a little bit harder time trying to find positions especially in magnet hospitals. And also enrollment in nursing schools. Some nursing schools have closed or they've reduced their how many students they accept due to funding cuts. They, like I said previously, they turn away students due to lack of faculty. And enrollment has increased, but it's not adequate to replace the nurses lost to retirement. You know, on page 86 of your book, they do talk about the Title VIII of Public Health Service Act. And that is the National League for Nursing has urged nurses to advocate for increased nursing education funding under Title VIII. And so, you know, there's also the 2002 Nurse Reinvestment Act, and then private foundation funding. The RWJF has one that's called New Careers in Nursing. And that one is through grants to schools of nursing. The program has provided scholarships of $10,000 each annually to more than 3,500 scholars. There's other foundations that are set up to help provide scholarships and financial assistance to students and RNs who are pursuing a degree in nursing. So, you know, the problem is qualified applicants are turned away despite the current nursing shortages. Another thing that also talks about it is educational cost. You know, a lot of students, they do, you know, it is a deterrent to increasing nursing school enrollment because of the cost of the education. And like I said, the biggest challenge is the inadequate number of nursing faculty to teach students interested in pursuing nursing as a career. And then on page 88 of your book, you know, the roots of the shortage. Many factors contribute to the current nursing shortage in acute care settings, including an aging workforce, high turnover because of worker dissatisfaction, inadequate long-term pay incentives, and an increasing recognition by nurses that they can make more money and act more autonomously as free agents than as full-time employees of a healthcare organization. So in box 6.2, causes of the current nursing shortage, workplace dissatisfaction, and women are choosing fields other than nursing for a career. So, you know, a free agent is often an independent contractor who sell their services to an employer with the condition that they maintain control over the number of hours they are willing to work and their working conditions. There are two types of free agents, and that are per diem and, let me find it, travel nurses. Most generally, a free agent nurse does make a higher hourly wage than other full-time or part-time employees. You know, but workplace dissatisfaction is perhaps one of the most significant yet least addressed factors that lead to the current RN shortage. And it results in high turnover levels and nurses leaving the profession. And, you know, you got to remember when, you know, nurses leave the profession, the high turnover rates are usually very expensive because it costs roughly $60,000 to $80,000 to replace a nurse, including recruitment and training downtime. So, you know, that's a lot of money that an organization puts out to train just one nurse to replace a nurse that's leaving. So, you know, so you have to think about that. So, you know, as nurses, what we have to remember, always remember where you started from. And if it is your position to train new nurses, to be available for them, to be their mentors, remember, don't eat your young. Because always remember where you started. We all started that first day on that brand new job. Each and every one of us, regardless of how many years we have been in nursing, we have all started in the same place. You know, a lot of times they try to find different strategies for solving the nursing shortage. Part of the strategies is, you know, retaining older workers or bringing retired nurses back into the workforce, because these employees are generally more productive, more reliable, and highly experienced. So strategies for retaining older nurses, this is in box 6.4. Flexible shift options with more options for shorter shifts, job sharing. Use lift teams, special beds, and equipment to reduce work-related injuries and strain. Benefit packages that recognize the needs of mature workers and recognize and use experienced workers as mentors and preceptors. And box 6.4 is on page 91. And changing the nurse's image. Who is responsible for changing the nurse's image? It is nurses themselves. We are responsible for changing the image as nurses, because some students who are interested in nursing may be dissuaded from choosing it as a career based on negative stereotypical images, especially those that position the profession as inferior to medicine. So, you know, it is our responsibility to change that image of nursing. And, you know, there are so many different things. Like I say, you know, workplace dissatisfaction is one of the most significant issues, but it's least addressed. The long hours. Most nurses work 3 12-hour shifts, if not more. Low autonomy, mandatory overtime. Mandatory overtime can lead to big-time workplace dissatisfaction. Another one is working weekends, nights, holidays, and then also the workloads. And, you know, is pay an issue? You know, it could be for some people. You know, so you always have to remember the reason you went into nursing. Always remember the reason behind why you chose nursing as your profession. You know, these slides here, I'm just going to click through them. You guys can read them. Like I said, I don't lecture the slides. but because for me, for this class, I prefer lecturing straight from the book. And this is strategies for solving the shortage. This was the one that I told you that I read. That is on page 91 of your book. And there's just other strategies for solving the shortage. You know, like I said, redesigning the workplace, improving nurses' public image. So, question, which of the following would be most effective in helping to solve the current nursing shortage? Redesign the workplace for young nurses, use nurses as the primary bedside givers, increase the number of free agent nurses, or promote a more positive image of nursing. It's promoting a more positive image of nursing. So, you know, like I said, who is responsible for doing that but nurses themselves? And that is the end of chapter 6.